Welcome.
You are watching Line Screw 1. With the recent landing of the NASA probe on Mars, many people are talking about Mars. It's an interesting place, very inhospitable, but it might have the elements of life in terms of being able to have water and fuel and things like that if you can separate the oxygen from the water, and et cetera, all sorts of technical problems. But there's people that are lining up that want to go to Mars. And I noticed Carolyn's RV Life, she has mentioned a little poll on her channel, and perhaps she is one of the people that has enlisted to go to Mars. I don't know, maybe she has. I think we should probably rally behind her and support her. Now, we all know that a mission to Mars is going to be very, very dangerous. But hey, that's a risk we're all willing to take if Carolyn doesn't make it back. But Carolyn does like hiking, so perhaps a hike to Mars is on the agenda. And she kind of likes being alone, so she could be the perfect person to go to Mars. She likes talking a lot on social media. She likes doing the tweeters, the Instagrams, and all that kind of stuff, all alone. And it kind of be like living in an RV, except in outer space and on a foreign planet. So I think Carolyn's RV Life is probably one of the prime people that they should perhaps consider, at least, for a trip to Mars. You know, the hiking in Mars and all that kind of stuff. You know, it'd be like the John Muir Trail all over again. Now, it's just a question of whether NASA wants to hear her talk all about these things that we already know over and over again, because Carolyn just has this one dreadful fault. She likes to turn a 1-minute idea into a 10-minute video. Don't know why she does that. I think it has to do with the monetization algorithms on YouTube. But I guess that's her cross that she's going to have to bear on all this. But I, for one, am definitely going to rally behind her and support her on the potential trip to Mars, because it sure would be wonderful to see a Nomadland person in Mars, and instead of seeing her in the background pictures of like a feature film like Nomadland, she could be in the front, and maybe she should get her Screen Actors Guild AFTRA union card and do a feature film about Mars. That would be wonderful, and perhaps she could teach us how to get water on Mars, just like Bob Wells does, and all those other nomads out there. Of course, rationing water is something she's also really good at. You got to skip bathing quite often, I'd imagine, if you're on Mars. So that's something that she's at least trained for a little bit. I don't know about you, but I'd love to see how the buddy heaters work in outer space. That's something I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that demonstrated by Carolyn in her Mars mission lander. As for picking up dog poo in space, I don't know about that one. That's going to be a tricky thing. So I don't know if we're quite ready to see nomad dogs in space. But I can definitely hear the ka-ching, ka-ching for the ad revenue on that on social media. Now, it's a very serious thing to endeavor to go to Mars, and it takes a special person that is psychologically prepared to be alone and only be connected by social media, I guess, via the satellite telecommunications towards Earth via NASA. So somebody's got to do it. It could be Carolyn's RV Life, but even if it's not her, it's got to be somebody. And I think perhaps a nomad could be on that short list, because it takes somebody that's used to living in very small, confined quarters all the time, and it takes somebody that's kind of an introvert that is really happy not being around other human beings and being really, really far away from humanity. I think a signal by radio waves takes 20 to 30 minutes one way just to travel to Earth. So that's how far away Carolyn would be if she was on Mars. And perhaps that would actually make her feel quite comfortable, because she don't like the peoples too much. But hey, that's her. Now, of course, Mars would have to be populated eventually, so perhaps Carolyn and Bob Wells could be the Adam and Eve of Mars, and perhaps they could lend their prime genetic specimens to have offspring on Mars and create the first nomad habitat out in the deserts of Mars. And let's face it, Mars looks like a desert planet because it is a desert planet. It's just like Arizona, or arid zona. And I think both Bob and Carolyn would have a great time, and perhaps they might actually be better suited than some college kids with some engineering degrees to go to Mars, because obviously they know more about how to be a nomad and how to be alone, and they know how to be alone more than anybody else out there in the social media universe. So I think they should definitely step out into the universe and maybe try their luck. And hopefully one day we can see them hoisting that nomad flag out there on the tundra of Mars.
I got you.